Hello, everybody. This is Fernando for the latest Godzilla podcast. It's still pretty quiet out there on the Western Front when it comes to the latest Godzilla movie, so I thought I would create another entry into my Godzilla Rant podcast. For those that aren't familiar, I just pick a subject that seems to be either topicy or something that's more current, and I give my own thoughts and opinions on there. The stuff is just completely random. There's no pattern to it. It's just whatever comes across my mind that seems to be interesting that I want to pick at, and that way I can get your opinions and your matters on it. In any case, in this new podcast, the topic I'm going to talk about is actually a big change that apparently is going to happen with YouTube starting next year, just in a couple of days in January. It's unknown exactly if it's going to be mid-January, the start of January, end of January. It couldn't even be probably a couple of months later. YouTube is pretty secret on these things, but the going theory is that it's going to be mid-January. And what's happening is that YouTube is actually going to change the way that they work with uploaded videos from people like me and others that are out there that create their own channels and upload videos to them. This is all a little bit of an insider kind of stuff, but to me it's fascinating because again it's like YouTube is stirring the waters and it's about adapting and it's about changing to whatever comes about, and the way YouTube does these changes, it can affect a lot of people. So I don't know and I don't think it's really going to affect me, but it'll definitely affect a lot of channels that you perhaps are watching or have subscriptions to. Anyways, the big change is that a bunch of videos and channels that are linked to MCNs, which are called multi-channel networks, it seems like they no longer will have the protection that they had before when it comes to the ability to be, I guess, free of copyright strikes. I believe that's the best way to state it on there. For those of you that don't know, a copyright strike is something that has actually occurred on my channel before. It's when, let's say you upload an image or you upload a video and you don't necessarily have the rights to it, but you feel like maybe, hey, if I'm talking about it, at least it's okay. It's part of the First Amendment, free speech. But the original content owner could come back and say, hey, I still need your permission to do this. And so they put a copyright strike against that video. And what happens in YouTube is that if you get 3 of them all together, then you're out. Your channel is done. You can no longer make anything associated with that channel. That's it. You lose everything. You have to start from scratch, essentially. And so the way that thing is going to change next year is that all videos that are being uploaded before, where you could get those things monetized instantaneously and approved instantaneously, now apparently it's going to have a 24 to 48 hour process, a waiting period, if you will. And this is going to affect a lot of people out there because the biggest thing with regards to those that are seeking to do monetization with their videos and get a good chunk of change is that you get the most views within the first probably 24, 48 hours. So quite conveniently and coincidentally, whenever you have these things done and this change happens and your video won't get monetized until said 24, 48 hours, you lose a lot of the viewership because you only get the monetization and the funds after everything is approved. So let's say only 10% of the viewers watch your videos after the first 48 hours, well, you lost 90% of the potential revenue. Again, this is all pretty early and pretty speculative, but that seems to be the gist of it. Again, I said on my end, I think I'm going to be fine because the way that this system will work is apparently it works on a system of trust where the longer the time period you have where you don't have anything considered risky or anything considered flagged for YouTube, then the shorter the time period that your videos will be reviewed to the point where you'll get your stuff approved instantaneously. Like on my end right now, after my 2 copyright strikes, and I switched the format more to a podcast, it's gotten to the point now again where I can upload videos instantaneously and they get monetized instantaneously. But if, let's say, I get not a copyright strike, but some other third party notice or something along those lines, it could put me back to scratch where I have to wait maybe a day or a couple of hours. It all depends on several algorithms. Again, on the viewer side, you may not notice much change because people will still continue to make their videos, but on the producer side, those that are like on me, on my end, and others who create these contents, it'll be interesting to see how this comes about. We know what kind of changes out there. Frankly, I've always wondered how, because the biggest change that all this will affect will be those people that make those videos where they do walkthroughs about video games. I'm a huge fan of those. I love watching those. I don't really play video games, but I love watching video games, as weird as that sounds, on YouTube, because it's like watching a extended edition of some kind of movie. And I've always wondered, if I get copyright strikes for just using like one image of, let's say, of Godzilla from some movie, how can people upload hours and hours and hours of actual game footage, and in some cases not even provide commentary, and get that monetized? I don't get it. I use one image, copyright strike. Other people use 12 hours of images and video and nothing. But apparently this is going to be the big change, because a lot of those people, this is the law, this is the change that's geared towards them specifically. It seems like the the publishers of video games, they're getting a little tired of people out there making these videos of video games and getting some good change on their end, and the video game makers get nothing from it. So it looks like this is what's geared towards them. So again, it'll be interesting to see. On my end, again, with regards to my own YouTube channel, I do this for fun. I do this on the side. If push comes to shove, and let's say it does take a couple days and I lose money on there, it may not, it's not going to affect me on my end. But for others out there that seem to, I guess, try to make a career out of YouTube with regards to multiple videos about video games and multiple videos about movies, it'll definitely impact them. How they're going to change, how they're going to adapt, it'll be interesting to see. And that's the way the world works. It's about always ensuring that whatever happens, if something is a stop sign in front of you, just move diagonally to the side and go around it. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with some of the subscribers that I subscribe to, and how it'll impact them on there. What are your thoughts? Do you think YouTube is doing this for the better or for the worse? Who knows? At the end of the day, it may actually create better content, because, again, the people that are just straight uploading stuff from movies or stuff from video games, they'll be forced to actually do other types of things, and it might make things more interesting. Or they may have to create 100% original content on their own, and again, it might just make things far more interesting than from before. Personally, I think, again, it was a little unfair how I can get copyright strikes for just real simple images, and others can get away with dozens and dozens of hours of straight video game footage. But I guess this is it. This is the answer to it. So, again, and what's interesting too is that this is a huge change on the YouTube side, but on the viewer side, it'll be nothing. Like, it'll be business as usual. So, anyways, post your thoughts below. What do you think? Is this better? Is this worse? Is YouTube gonna be something that you'll still be a fan of after this change? I'd say I'm gonna do probably a follow-up on this, probably in about 6 months, probably June or July of next year, just to see what the impact is. But post your comments below. Thanks, everybody. Take care.